Limitless made limitless. That's Life Unlimited.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
I'm Angie Gonzalez. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. At least 14 people have died in the wake of Hurricane Milton, and death tolls are expected to rise. 1,000 Floridians have already been rescued by thousands of personnel deployed around the state. The system knocked power out to more than 3 million customers. Crews are working to repair 30 water line breaks in St. Petersburg alone. The city remains under a boil water notice until Monday. The Department of Defense and FEMA are working together to provide relief for hurricane victims. Florida is to reopen as officials look to bounce back from Hurricane Milton. Favorite tourist attractions like Disney World, SeaWorld, and Universal Studios are open today. Flights at Tampa International Airport and Orlando International Airport also receiving flights again. One person is dead and 23 tourists have been rescued after an accident at a Colorado mine. The Molly Kathleen gold mine outside of Colorado Springs now operates as a tourist attraction. The Teller County Sheriff says that 2 groups were touring the mine yesterday and that 12 were on an elevator system when it malfunctioned. One person from that group is dead. The sheriff says that 4 others received medical care for minor injuries. Now, those are your headlines. Now here is a look at your weather on the ones.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. We made it to the end of the week, and we have some comfortable weather to look forward to, especially if you live along the East Coast. We're going to be back in the upper 60s from New York, low 70s from Raleigh to Atlanta. Certainly quite hot, though, across the Central Plains as high temperatures get into the 90s across the Lone Star State. Meanwhile, cleanup is going to continue from Milton across the Sunshine State. We're going to see quiet weather in store for most of the lower 48 with a big cool down on the way. I'm breaking down all those details coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
More than a dozen people are dead from Hurricane Milton and the tornadoes that the storm spawned. Thank you so much for watching Spectrum News. I'm Angie Gonzalez in this morning for Bree. Now, those death tolls are expected to rise. Search and rescue missions are on in Florida, where 1,000 people have already been rescued. Thousands of emergency personnel are deployed across the state. At its peak, more than 3 million customers were without power. Milton's devastating wind, tornadoes, and rain likely caused up to $50 billion worth of insured losses, according to Fitch Ratings. Now, Spectrum's Jenna Enoch shows us what's being done to help get the situation back to normal.
Oh my God! There's water in our car!
This is the voice of a Daytona Beach resident as water rising to dangerous levels in her home during Milton. The hurricane cutting a path of destruction through Florida, carrying boats to shore, toppling 18-wheelers and destroying homes.
I can tell you, we are in for a long recovery.
Milton's devastating wind, tornadoes, and rain likely have cost up to $50 billion worth of insured losses. The greatest tragedy taking place in St. Lucie County, about 150 miles from landfall, where multiple tornadoes ravaged that area.
Please, this is not the time for our citizens and our visitors to Volusia County to be out on the roads.
Many residents are eager to get back to their homes, but concerns still continue. Gas shortages are still a major issue, with nearly 1 in 5 stations running dry during evacuations. Ships and tankers are working to refill those stations in the next 48 hours. The area still cleaning up from Hurricane Helene and now Milton.
The fact that these 2 storms have impacted the same area, our hearts go out to those people that are impacted. It's very difficult to go through something like this.
Jenna Enoch, Spectrum News.
FEMA says the damage from Hurricane Milton was not as destructive as expected, though residents of Florida are saying that the damage is unlike anything they've ever seen. Our team of Spectrum reporters have been tracking the destruction. Here's a look at some of the damage.
A crew worked to pull out part of Cocoa Beach Pier's roof after storms brought by Milton ripped it away. It's part of the building where catering supplies are kept. The goal was to get the roof covered to protect it from rain until it can be repaired. Down the street, St. Croix Avenue neighbors are sifting through damage to their homes after the strong storm rolled through. Most houses and properties have some damage, some more severe than others. Roof damage, large trees uprooted, and for Robert Hemmings, a pool cover in knots.
Pool enclosure's been here over 40 years.
Surviving the mid-2000s hurricanes, Tropical Storm Faye and Irma, but not Milton.
It's hard to believe that this one was different than the rest of them.
Robert, his wife and daughter, and her dog huddled in the hallway when the storm seemed to have come out of nowhere.
We didn't know what had happened, so it was really a freaky experience.
An experience he doesn't want to repeat in the future.
Never want to again.
In Cocoa Beach, Greg Pallone, Spectrum News.
Well, since Hurricane Milton passed, this small community has flooded. Take a look. Water has risen up to the inside of many of the homes here. Now, this neighborhood has flooded in the past from previous storms, but one neighbor says this was worse. Walk with William Fleming around his property and he will show you standing water. Most of the homes in his small river community were flooded.
This, I'd say, is right next to the worst.
He should know. He's lived in this area since the late 1980s. He said he decided to ride Hurricane Milton out inside his home.
The wind was much worse than anything I've endured. I underestimated it.
The community is located along the St. Johns River between Lake George and Lake Dexter. It flooded here in 2022 from Hurricanes Ian and Nicole. Now it's a waiting game to see if water from Hurricane Milton will push back in along the river.
Now the wind's blowing out of the north, which is backing the river up, so it can't drain out. And we had all that rain south of us, and that water's got to come up the river, so expecting higher water, but hopefully it can drain off some.
William says he won't know for a few days if those high waters will return and flood the area. He says it's all a part of living in an unincorporated area along the river. On scene here in Astor, Randy Roush, Spectrum News.
This was a total surprise when we woke up. And said, whoa, good thing I didn't see it.
Robin Massa lives close to where this road collapsed. This lifelong Florida resident has seen a lot of storm damage, but nothing quite like this.
We've got water, where we have not had water before in the back. My neighbor is a complete lake. They lost their whole pump, lost everything. This street over here, houses flooded. You think it's a lake, but it's not, it's a meadow.
Throughout Orange City, you can see water surrounding homes and cars. People are even trying to get through water and realizing they can't make it and have to turn back around.
So I think it was like the perfect storm. I think all of that, with all the prior rain, with all the DRAs being full, the water didn't have any place to go. It just did not hit, except it all came up and went.
In Volusia County, Devin Martin, Spectrum News.
This morning, travel is resuming at Tampa and Orlando airports. Milton shut down departures and arrivals earlier this week. In Orlando, Walt Disney World Resort is reopening its parks to its guests today. Universal Studios Florida and SeaWorld are also reopening. And in Tampa, Busch Gardens is back open today. Some attractions, including Zoo Tampa and the Kennedy Space Center, remain closed. Coming up on Spectrum News, a closer look at the two main presidential candidates' final push in key battleground states as we close in on Election Day.
Here's the deal. People need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
What if you never had to worry about what you could do? Because you could do anything. anywhere could be the center of everywhere. And boundaries only existed to be pushed. So the only limit you faced was how big you could dream. What would you do then? Some pretty cool stuff, I bet. Yeah, that'd be some life. That'd be life unlimited.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with you on this Friday morning. Now that Milton is long gone, well off to our east over the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean, cleanup is going to continue across the Sunshine State, and we have to look out for river flooding. That is going to be the one concern for us over the next several days, given the amount of rainfall that we picked up. We picked up over a foot and a half in some of those communities, so it's going to take a while for those water levels to recede in those rivers. So they are likely going to get to moderate to major flooding stages as we head into the next several days, continuing into early next week. In the meantime, though, we do have a couple showers in the forecast across Florida, especially along the eastern side, with some downpours moving with that onshore flow. Down towards southern Florida, we could see a few isolated thunderstorms, a few rumbles of thunder here and there, and we're likely going to see those rainfall totals amount to around half an inch up to a quick inch as well. Here's what's left of Milton. It's going to continue to push over the open waters of the Atlantic, approaching Bermuda. Not going to be concerned with this by any means as it moves over the open waters of the Atlantic. Same thing with Tropical Storm Leslie. That is actually the only named system in the Atlantic Basin. This system was a hurricane yesterday, and it's going to continue to track to the north and eventually start to hook to the northeast as a post-tropical cyclone. Meanwhile, we are monitoring another tropical wave emerging off the western coast of Africa. It's got a medium chance for tropical development over the next 7 days. It's going to continue to work its way further to the north and west. This is expected to stay out to sea. We are not concerned with that storm system by any means. And aside from no tropical activity is expected over the next 7 days. But if that tropical wave does get better organized and it does develop, the next name on the list is going to be Nadine, our end name system for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. And as we head into the next several weeks or so, we're getting close to the final month of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Once we get past this month, we have all of November to get through, and we get to December 1st, the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season is over. Now, in the meantime, though, we do have some temperatures starting to warm up big time in the Central Plains. We'll talk about that and a cool down on the way for next week, coming up in 10 minutes on your weather on the ones.
We are now just 25 days from Election Day, and former President Donald Trump wants to make interest on car loans tax deductible. It's a proposal he announced while criticizing the city of Detroit.
The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. Well, we're a developing nation, too. Just take a look at Detroit.
Now, Trump is facing some criticism from members of his own party, but also from former President Barack Obama, who stumped for Vice President Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is.
Spectrum's Kathy Simeon and Taylor Popolars continue our coverage from the campaign trail.
Polls
Polls show a tight race in Arizona between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. In her rally here Thursday, Harris cast herself as the candidate focused on expanding the middle class as well as protecting abortion rights, two key issues for Arizona voters.
Under my economic plan, we will bring down the cost of housing. Arizona, you know that's an issue we need to deal with. We will help first-time home buyers with their down payment, with $25,000 down payment assistance.
Over the last several days, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz have campaigned around the state, and First Lady Jill Biden is set to appear here over the weekend. The visit's a measure of the importance the Harris campaign is placing on this battleground state. With early voting underway, Harris encouraged voters to cast their ballot early.
You can cast your ballot today or any day between now and November 5th. So now is the time to make your plan to vote. And if you have received your ballot in the mail, please do not wait. Fill it out today, return it in today.
Experts say it's independent voters that Harris needs to make inroads with, as nearly a third of all voters in the state are not affiliated with a specific party. Former President Donald Trump will also campaign here over the weekend with a rally set for Sunday. In Chandler, Arizona, Cassie Simeon, Spectrum News.
The last time Colorado supported a Republican for president was 20 years ago, in 2004. But Donald Trump is holding a rally here in Aurora on Friday to highlight his claims that the city has become a, quote, war zone, taken over by Venezuelan gang members, even though local officials say that's just not true.
You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently.
That was Donald Trump during the presidential debate on September 10th, amplifying what officials say are false claims about migrants in Springfield, Ohio and Aurora, Colorado. Trump is now set to come here to Aurora on Friday to talk about how the Denver suburb has been affected by more than 40,000 migrants who have come to the region since 2022, many of them bussed in by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman, a Republican, is not attending the rally and declined to be interviewed. But in a statement, he said Trump's visit to Aurora is an opportunity to show him and the nation that Aurora is a considerably safe city, not a city overrun by Venezuelan gangs. The reality is that the concerns about Venezuelan gang activity have been grossly exaggerated. Kaufman offered to meet with Trump alongside the local police chief for a briefing. I asked the Trump campaign if it would accept. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not answer directly, saying instead that President Trump hears the concerns of the citizens of Aurora and is looking forward to being with them very soon. Local officials here have offered conflicting information in recent months. In late July, Aurora Council member Danielle Jurinsky, a Republican, posted on Facebook that the night before, the city of Aurora was taken over at the intersection of Mississippi and Havana. You will see that Venezuelan flags are flying, she wrote. On August 29th, the mayor told Fox News that several apartment buildings, quote, have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs after security video of armed men inside one building went viral. On September 11th, Kaufman and Jurinsky, who also serves as the public safety chair, released a joint statement that said TA, the gang in question, has not taken over the city. The overstated claims, fueled by social media and through select news organizations, are simply not true, they wrote. Aurora police confirmed these 4 men arrested in connection with one shooting do have connections to the gang, but the 6 men featured in the viral video have been identified and so far have not been connected to any gangs. The Trump campaign says his stop here will focus on the border policies of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump lost Colorado by nearly 14 points in 2020, so his decision to visit here seems more focused on doubling down on these false and exaggerated claims and less on winning here. Reporting in Aurora, Colorado, Taylor Popolars, Spectrum News.
One person is dead and 23 have been rescued after an accident at a Colorado mine. The Molly Kathleen gold mine outside of Colorado Springs now operates as a tourist attraction. Its staff take visitors 1,000 feet below the surface. The Teller County Sheriff says the 2 groups were touring the mine yesterday and 12 were on an elevator system that malfunctioned. One person from that group is dead. The sheriff says that 4 others received medical care for minor injuries.
The outcome overall was very successful, and our hearts are with
the person that died.
The sheriff says that rescuers got the group to the surface but couldn't immediately bring up 12 other people farther below. Next up here on Spectrum News, the latest from Florida as the true cost of Hurricane Milton becomes even more clear. Stay with us.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
When you never have to worry about thinking too big? Because you have a connection that's ready for anything. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/act now.
You're not going to get it all right. Make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. High pressure in full control of our pattern as we head into this weekend. We're going to allow for warmer temperatures for some and cooler weather as well. The big warm up, though, is going to be across the Central Plains, where temperatures are going to get back into the 90s, feeling like summer as we head into parts of this upcoming weekend. The spot that's going to have rain chances this weekend is going to be in the northeast, with the storm system tracking through that region. This will bring a few showers here and there, not a big chance for rain, and it's not going to be a washout, so no need to cancel any outdoor plans. But behind that storm system, we do have cooler weather to look forward to as we head into next week. So across the lower 48 today, here comes that storm system. Doesn't look like much right now as it works its way across the Dakotas, but as we head into Saturday night and Sunday, that's when the system is really going to pick up some more moisture and should bring down those rain chances for parts of our Sunday. So we'll break it down with forecast radar. We are seeing some of those showers well into the Great Lakes region, across the Ohio Valley, northern Ohio, parts of Pennsylvania, and western New York. Going to be dealing with some moderate downpours. If you're heading out early Sunday morning, you might want to bring the rain gear with you. Then as we transition into midday Sunday, most of Pennsylvania, parts of New York, going to be dealing with clouds and some showers and breezy conditions for that matter as well. We are going to see some gusts around 25 miles per hour on the backside of the system, and then perhaps a line of showers and maybe a few isolated thunderstorms trying to develop across West Virginia into parts of Pennsylvania and New York by the time towards the end of this weekend. That front is going to do us big time favors as far as our temperatures go, especially in the Central Plains, where we're expecting a great deal of sunshine and drier conditions. But most of that rain is going to add up to around an inch, maybe an inch and a half in a few spots up towards Maine. We could see locally some spots picking up over 2 inches of rainfall. But that's pretty much it over the next several days. We're going to dry out with high pressure building back in. And as far as our temperatures go today, nice and pleasant from the Great Lakes all the way towards the northeast. 62 degrees in Portland, 68 in the New York region, 75 degrees this afternoon in Columbus, Ohio. But take a look at the Central Plains, upper 80s, low 90s from Kansas City all the way down into San Antonio. And it's going to be even warmer as we transition into Saturday. As far as overnight lows go, though, we're going to be dropping down to the 40s up in the Dakotas, as well as the Ohio Valley, mid-40s in New York tonight into Saturday morning, and then Saturday night into Sunday morning, rather. We're going to see those temperatures pretty much in the 50s and the low to middle 40s as well. Take a look at the weekend forecast, though, for Kansas City. Expecting a great deal of sunshine. We go from the low 90s on Saturday to the mid-70s on Sunday. So make plans to be outside on Sunday with much cooler weather settling in.
Skywatchers across many parts of the U.S. were treated to a special light show last night. A severe geomagnetic storm caused an outburst in the sun, producing dazzling auroras or northern lights across the U.S. The lights could return tonight. Some experts were worried that the storm would cause a disruption to satellites or power systems here on Earth. So far, no issues have been reported. Here's a look at before and after Milton made its way through Florida. Tropicana Field's roof in St. Petersburg nearly destroyed. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. And here we're going to see a beach completely torn up by the storm. And one more shot, you're going to see plenty of trees torn down by the storm's 100+ mile-per-hour winds. Every football team needs teamwork to succeed, whether it be the coaches, the star players, backups, or student managers. There's a role for everyone. Our Cassidy Wilson introduces us to one Ohio student who's doing his part.
As Friday night football continues, there's one student that plays an important role in the success of the Gahanna Lions football team, and that's Davis White.
I like football.
That's why he's been the team manager of the Gahanna Lincoln football team for the last 3 years.
Out there every day with us. He makes the day better. He reminds us that it's a game and how fun it is and why we should love it. And I truly think our team and program is better as a result of Davis being a part of it.
And it's extra special for White to also be a member of a team that both his older brothers were once part of too.
Marcus played for Army and Davin coach this year.
White says he manages the team with the help of his mom and dad.
Ice and water duty.
Ice and water duty, that's great. Yeah. Do you think I'm bossy?
Yeah.
And White has made some long-lasting friendships throughout his journey managing the team, being friends with some of the players since grade school.
What's up? Go you.
White was voted as homecoming king by his peers, and he was smiling ear to ear telling me about it, saying he was excited to get dressed up for the dance. As White helps fill water bottles one by one, his teammates know that his job doesn't go unnoticed, helping lead the Lions throughout the remainder of the season. For Spectrum News, I'm Cassidy Wilson.
You can stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Angie Gonzalez. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
The 2024 election will decide who leads our nation and the balance of power in Congress, impacting all of us. From Capitol Hill to the Oval Office, let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth coverage with our dedicated experts in local politics. Strengthening democracy by informing your community. That's our mission. Available on all of your favorite devices, exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum Enterprise, we give over 80% of the Fortune 500 the technology solutions they need to meet their growing business demands. Whether it's ultra-fast connectivity, seamless transactions, safe and secure data, or reliable always-on technology, these businesses demand better, and we're here to deliver it. Get a network you can rely on with our 100% uptime SLA guarantee.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back.
To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
to gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
that's a love we can all fight for.
Women are bad with money. That's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now, we've got something to say.
Save it. It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Until we're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault.
Then, the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at wesaysaveit.org.